Let's fucking go.
Body, my friend. So I think today let's talk about the inevitable aging process and how you mitigate that. I mean, you know, being an athlete when you're younger, it's a little bit easier to get into workouts and kind of keep your workouts consistent. Nutrition, my honest experience is I didn't have to worry about too much about nutrition when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was aware of it. Let me not say I didn't worry about it. You know, I was aware of it. I knew I shouldn't eat a whole bunch of crap.
Yep.
However, the difference between the nutrition needs then versus now are completely different for me. What have you found?
Nutrition was always my biggest struggle. Like the kitchen has always been my Achilles. I didn't grow up with any influence around the kitchen or parents that knew anything about health and wellness. So for me, I learned all of it through sports, especially as I got older. The working outside for me, I always enjoyed. Sports introduced me to all the fitness and weightlifting stuff. I didn't really start to like it until I was in the Army. Like that's when I really started to get into it and like really start to enjoy lifting weights and stuff like that. So for me, that's what I would say would be kind of my background around it and experience with it. Like nutrition's been a journey for me that I would say finally I feel I have dialed in for the first time.
How do you feel you got dialed in? What was the change for you?
Yeah, so if we go back to probably 2 years ago when I realized I needed to make a change, I just started like in my wife, thankfully, she was raised with health and nutrition. Like her father was very influential for her with wellness. So she's taught me a ton. Like since I met her in 2008, I learned a lot from her. When I met her, I wouldn't eat a green vegetable. I wouldn't eat a lot of stuff. I was really picky.
Yep.
So she's really made a difference for me there and just helping me incrementally improve my taste buds and like what I'm opening up my palate to. But going back to like what's fundamentally changed as I've gotten older is just that I decided I wanted to make a change. And so being intentional about how to make the change. So for me, realizing like, all right, I need to do something different. I need to achieve these goals that I want. I've got to like take action, change what I'm doing. So then I did this 30 or 40 day, it ended up being 40 days of like, I mean, you know what it was called, but it was like that really strict meal plan that I went on.
It's essentially elimination diet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I did that it ended up being 40 days because I started over, my wife did it, and I started over to do it with her. But I didn't like cheat or anything. I stayed on the plan for 40 days, but I needed that extra time because it just showed me that like you can control this. It's a choice and it's not as hard as you think it is. And for me, that was like a very big win mentally to overcome something that's always ailed me.
That's a fair point. What I've always found is nutrition when you're younger is a little bit easier. You've got youth on your side, right?
Oh yeah.
You're able to spend it, especially if you're someone, especially coming from an athletic background. Training is the easy part. That's the part that doesn't take much effort. I know I want to go to the gym. It feels good. It's a great. It's the other 22 hours that you kind of have control what you do. And as I've found, I've gotten older, especially after 35. What I found is like it's a two-pronged process. I wouldn't want to say that you have to dial in nutrition because you're getting older, right? That's a given. I more want to say is as you get older, I think your application of discipline becomes better set.
Yeah.
Right. And your mechanism of finding it, obviously, as you get older, is if everything's run well, is as you age, you have the ability to eat better. Right. When you're younger, you eat what you can afford, which I understand completely. I did the same thing. But as you get older and you start getting a baseline of understanding of nutrition, right, it becomes less of, what can I eat and more of, well, now I need to make a set choice. My personal approach to this is to always go with the elimination diet. Now, there's multiple ways that you can access this, but one of the ways that I find that kind of insets discipline is to fundamentally understand what hunger is. So you found as well is, the minute that you do an elimination diet, which essentially what you do is you take everything you eat and you only bring it down to the base essential amino acids.
Yeah.
In this particular case, that's meat. it kind of is a carnivore diet, but we add in certain things like strawberries or anything with the word berry in, because what you find is a lot of people kind of have that, I need this little bit of extra, and that kind of breaks that cycle. So that's usually why I incorporate berries in that. But now, as you eliminate everything, the one thing that tends to happen is the first couple of days is the hardest. You'll wake up on the first day, you fast, right? You can take an approach whereby you can take 3 days and you can completely fast. So the first day is a full fast. You have no food. You just have water. Second day, you incorporate things like bone broth, coconut oil in coffee, things just to kind of keep you not to get too hungry and you have a little bit of energy. And the whole point of it, regardless of which route you go, the reason you do the 30 to 40 days is that initial standpoint is to teach your body what true hunger is. The psychological effect that I found of your mind convincing you that I need this, it goes down as they say sugar is as addictive as cocaine.
No, I'm sure.
So, my experience in it is when you fall into that trap, it's very easy to go in there, grab something, eat it just because your brain's telling you to, and then you sit back, oh my God, what have I done?
For sure.
And I feel the elimination aspect of it, where you hit specifically on eating essential amino acids, which in this case is a good source of protein. And now you run that for 30 days. No cheat meals, no adding anything in. You eliminate sugar completely. You only focus on those amino acids. You have a good workout behind you. What I found it does for me, and I think your story is similar, is that it kind of resets your brain.
Definitely.
On what is the fundamentals of what I should eat and what I shouldn't eat, and also what my hunger points are. Because there's what I found is I come from a culture very similar to United States culture, where if there's something left on the table, you better finish it.
Yeah,
right. You got to finish what you have.
Yeah.
So you get into the system. Why I got to get calories in. Also, being a guy, right? You can get away with being a 350-pound guy who's strong, right? Yeah. Regardless if you have a ton of body fat. Yeah. You look at a guy like Eddie Hall. World's strongest man. He's a big dude, right? And despite how big he is, no one looks at him and goes, he's fat. Right? No one's comparing to him. He can get away with it. I think women have a much harder time of getting away with it. But guys, if you're a big guy with a lot of body fat, but you're strong and you can see there's some muscularity, you kind of feel good, right? It's just when I was younger is, the scale becomes I think the opposite to women. You get on a scale. If that scale's going up, I don't care if it's fat or muscle. I'm just happy, right? Because you feel like you're gaining mass.
Yeah.
That mindset has to change. Once you hit around 35, you've got to try and maintain lean body mass. Fat accumulates a lot easier than it used to. And I think the mechanisms of finding that nutrition conduit of how to actually put the diet together, that's the trick. Now, I don't know what your take is on this but I've tried a lot of diets in my life. And I found the minute that you do elimination and you focus on base proteins and you can get past 30 days, tell me about your 30 days. My 30 days, it was the first couple of days are hard, and then you almost get into a euphoric stage. Once you get past 14 days, it's as if your brain's in your life. Now all of a sudden, now you don't want to eat carbs. Now you don't want to add sugar. You just want to carry on. What was your experience?
I'll share a couple of thoughts first before I share my experience. I think when I first went to that plan, mentally you go, I can't do this. There's a component that comes into play where you're like, can I actually make this happen? I don't know. I've never eaten like this. I don't know if I can do it. And then you get those first couple days behind you, because you're right, those first couple days are the hardest. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I got this. And then you get into that 2-week period where you're like, I'm really struggling. I want some shit food. Yeah. I want something, and then you just realize, no, you've gone this far. You're only you're halfway there. Why would you stop now? And then for me, when I did it, my wife jumped in at that time. So I was like, all right, I'm starting over. And I thought about cheating, but I was like, no, you've already done this. So then you go another week and you're like, fuck this. This is easy.
Yeah.
It's not that it's easy. It's just you decided that you're controlling it, right? So
That's
for me,
true.
the first time in my life, I'd actually controlled myself at the kitchen and what I consumed, put in my mouth. And then after I realized, when I did it, I was like, okay, this is really empowering. And it was a big mental victory for me that really set the stage for me to continue on my journey. Another thing, going back a little bit further, I always had the mindset of I would outwork my diet.
Yeah,
so
that never works.
Right.
It never works.
It doesn't. And I think it kills, we're talking about a topic after 40 here, when you have those bad habits of your youth because you would outwork your diet, but you're not working in the gym like you used to. I mean, we are now, but there's a lot of people out there that don't do that. So they have these big, in my case, I grew up, you talked about culture. I grew up in a home where if I was hungry, I was fed.
Yeah.
So if I was, and especially because I played sports and I'd burn through all kinds of calories. My dad grew up working on a farm, so he did the same thing. Like his mother would make him this massive plate of steak and fries and whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
And he would eat lots of food because he was burning lots of food. Well, I was doing the same thing, and that's what would happen. They would give me multiple pieces of steak, multiple pieces of whatever we were eating. And so it also kind of trained me, like, if I ate big but I wasn't eating the right things, then you had these bad eating habits, and that's what was happening with my childhood. So then as I got older, I wasn't working out like I used to, and it caused me other problems, and I'd make bad food choices because I was just like, well, the shit food tastes good, I'm going to eat that. Yeah. It's just a vicious cycle, you know.
That's true, and that's kind of where I'm touching on, is what I found is, and we always talk about the entrepreneur, right? That's kind of our core value. We're entrepreneurs, we own our own businesses. Yeah. It's trying to find that balance. Now, what I've always found is, especially when you go into it, entrepreneurs, by definition, if you have started a business and you've gone through the process of starting to earn money through it, paying your bills, you have a set of discipline and you're capable of a lot more than you think you are.
Oh, yeah, right? For sure.
And the idea where, from a discipline aspect, is I always find that you try and find shortcuts. Right now, in one sense, you can call it a shortcut. In the another sense, you can call it efficiency. Yeah. But it's a very thin line. Yeah. Right. And when it comes to trying to outwork a bad diet, what I found is, regardless, even ages, this even happens when you're younger, it is absolutely 10 out of 10 it doesn't work. Right. It'll never, ever, ever get you forward. Yeah, totally. All it's going to do is cause more problems as you progress. Right. And looking at nutrition, for me personally, is there's a sense of, you'd speak to a guy like Jake Cutler, you'd hear some of the videos he says, and in his mind he goes, nutrition has got nothing to do with taste. Nutrition was about calories, about feeding my body, about giving me enough food that I could get to a certain level. Now, this is a guy who's a 4-time Miss Olympia, right? Yeah. The difference is we're not competing for Miss Olympia, right? Yeah. So a lot of times you get sucked into watching these videos, right? Especially motivations that videos would pretty much say to you, here's the line and that's what you draw. But realistically, and I'm sure you've had the same experience, this is not the truth. Yeah. The truth is, when you're balancing a lifestyle, you're an entrepreneur, you have a family, you have bills to pay, and you're trying to maintain your body, your spirit, and your mind. Yeah. You have to find a balance in that. If you have kids, you cannot expect them to eat chicken and broccoli. No, you can't expect your wife to. They don't, right? Yeah. So there's an aspect of it whereby you have to kind of find that balance. Totally. Part of that balance is first going through an elimination diet to understand hunger, and then the next hurdle that you have to cross is now when you start incorporating other foods again. Because I'm a keen believer that at least once a week, you need to incorporate sugars. You need to incorporate all sorts of other foods into your system, else your body becomes almost intolerant to them. You want to incorporate those, right? Now, what I found personally is when you start hitting, and as I said before, these are not cheat meals. These are refeeds. This is about giving your body some additional calories. It helps you on 3 levels. It helps you physically feed your body, especially if you're in a deficit, to have your body fill up a little bit. The second aspect is a mental aspect. It kind of gives you that little bit of a reprieve from this. It's almost a reward system, right? The third part that's where it becomes a little bit difficult, is that reward system is where you have to find that balance and where discipline kicks in. Because I've often found is, especially if you go after a 30-day plan like that first refeed meal, it's probably the best meal you'll ever have. Yeah. The problem is, the next day you wake up and all of a sudden your body's going, I need more of this. Right. So you're feeling, well, I got to get in calories, I got to get in sugar. And then it becomes the balance part, whereby you're going, well, 80-20, 90-10, whichever one you choose, 80% of your diet is going to be clean, and that 20% is not. But a lot of times what you find, especially if you have the capabilities and you're older, right, it's very easy to fall into this trap when you go out socially. Now, you go out with a bunch of friends, they're drinking, they're eating. Now, the thing is, alcohol to me is a no-go, right? Is alcohol just kind of poisons your system. There's no benefit to alcohol. No doubt. Right? It's unnecessary, and your body doesn't work well with it. The recovery state after you've had alcohol is just too long for me, and I just don't need the side effects. Yep. However, you have food, right? Now you've got to make smart choices when you go out. Yeah. You can make these choices, but you have to be. This is to me where the discipline kicks in. Yeah. This is the part where you go out as an entrepreneur, especially depending on the industry you're in, right? You might have to go eat out with clients.
Yep.
You don't want to sit there and take out your own food and kind of start eating in front of them. You want to try to be able to accommodate.
I had a business meeting just last week.
Yeah.
We went to a pretty high-end restaurant in Tampa. I say high-end, I don't know. It was a really nice restaurant. Happened to see the mayor there when we were there, so it's that nice, I guess, right? Anyways, everybody's looking at the menu. It's a group of people. Small group. It was like 5 or 6 of us. And anyway, I was looking at it, and I was like, everything had some kind of cream or something unique, right? It was like nothing that we would normally eat. So the server came over, and I was like, hey, what did I forget exactly what I asked about, but I ended up ordering, I think I ordered 4 grilled chicken breast and green beans. That was my meal.
Beautiful.
Off the menu. It was completely separate. And it was great grilled chicken. It was a fantastic meal. But it was literally me just saying, hey, can I do something that's off the menu for my health reasons?
Yes.
Right? Because I wanted to choose, and they all got whatever they got, and they had good meals.
Yeah.
But I chose to do something different, which was noticed, of course. But it was good, And then I want to touch on a couple of things too. You talked about Jay Cutler, right?
Yeah.
And he talked about how it wasn't about the taste. We're also looking at a professional athlete. Let's be real, right?
Yes, it's a different level.
So he's doing things that the average person isn't going to do. So if I'm taking advice from a pro athlete, sure, he's giving fantastic and amazing advice
100%
for other people that want to be pro athletes.
Yeah, this is kind of the rabbit hole, right? And this is part and parcel of why we're doing Layman's Lab is before the internet, right? And this is my experience of body. Before the internet, you used to have Muscle Mag, Flex Magazine,
bodybuilding.com.
Not even before bodybuilding.com
That's
came
fair,
out, right?
right,
Before you even had the internet,
before the internet,
you basically bought these magazines. And what had happened is you need to understand that whether it's an influencer online or we're going back 20 years and it's in a magazine, they're trying to sell copies.
Yeah.
So what will happen is they will give you multiple bits of information. All of them are good. Every fucking one of those bits of information are good, but they don't necessarily all work together.
Yeah.
And what I found a lot of time is that I did this for a while and I had a lot of my friends and people that I interacted with. And what happens is you kind of get stuck into whatever the new fad is.
Yeah.
Right? It happens today. Keto's a new thing, paleo's a new thing, carnivore's a diet thing, vegan diet's a thing. So everybody kind of jumps on them. And previously we jumped on them because we had very limited information, right? Not everybody had the access to nutrition information that we have today.
Yeah.
But what I found is what you've got to do is you've got to stick to something. You've got to go through a process of finding what works for you. So, when we sat down is, great, what do you like to eat, right? What's your blood type? What type of foods work for you? What type of foods don't work for you? Try and find a baseline. Now, anybody who's listening to this is what you really need to do is you've got to look at your diet first. Training, if you're anybody listening to this going, if you watch a Ronnie Coleman video and you start hearing him scream and all you want to do is go to the gym, you're fine. Don't worry about the training side. That's just that's technical. That can be fixed. The mental side is getting that diet correct. And trying to find the mechanisms for you personally so that you can go off. And it really is a case of wins and losses.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter what level you are. Right. So you will see a guy like Jay Cutler and it's, anybody can come to you and go, listen, I want to get into great shape. Good. All I want you to do is for the next 6 months, 5 times a day, I want you to eat broccoli and chicken.
Yeah.
That's it. Only drink water, only have salt. And I guarantee you 99.9% of those people who do it will quit on the first day.
100%.
Which
is why after January 1 that happens every year.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Because what happens is it's easy to get stuck into, well, this person says do this, and all of them work. Like if you just eat chicken and broccoli, and you just focus on it, and you have the right amount of proteins, and you put those macros into the thing, you do your training, you will get into fundamentally the best shape of your life.
For sure.
But that's not the only part that's part of this, right?
I agree.
The second thing that comes in is you're a human being living in a world, you have family, you have a business. You are not Jay Cutler.
Right.
Trying to get onto the next Olympia stage. You are not The Rock trying to prep for his next movie and he's got 50 people who are accommodating him and cooking for him.
Yep.
You're an individual who has to find a mechanism for you personally to go in. The carnivore diet, for me, is one of the easiest ones to hop on, especially if you're good with meat.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, on the taste topic, I do what I like. I want to enjoy what I eat. However, I also know that, if you put a piece of meat in front of me, one of the choices is just the meat. The other one's covered in a sauce or a cream or whatever. Is the one with the cream going to taste better? Maybe, but now I've become so trained to like the meat itself that I don't want the cream or the sauce that's on it because I don't think it tastes good.
Yes.
Now I've become conditioned to like just the meat and the protein that I'm eating. That tastes good to me.
Yeah.
So over time, it's going to change. Over time, you're going to really like it. I love steak. Like red meats, like we talk red meat a lot, but like steak and ground beef for me is like my two biggest things that I eat. And there are times, I'll admit, there's times where I don't want to eat the ground beef because it just gets hard to eat.
Yeah.
But I've decided that, like, no, this is not, like, it's a part of my goal to reach this, so I might throw some eggs over top that meat and some hot sauce, and it helps it taste better.
Yes.
You know?
I think that's a good point because, again, when I started the carnivore diet, I had a lot of people come to me and say, well, how can you eat steak every day? Don't you get tired of it?
Steak's good.
Steak's good, man. Like,
I don't really get tired of it.
I don't know. You find these quizzes every now and then, and the one asks you if you could choose one type of food to always eat and not get tired of it. It's like steak.
Yeah,
I'm
for
good.
sure.
Just give me a steak.
Yep.
And I get, my wife's one of these people is she likes variety, right? Which is great. Like it makes it more complicated. It like if you like variety, it makes it more complicated. It's doable.
It's doable,
but in the same breath, what I found, especially for guys, women might have a different mindset on this, and their needs are different biologically. But for men, if you want to get into fundamentally good shape and you want to start, right, the first thing that I always say is start with fasting, right? Fast at least for the first half of the day. So try to wake up. Make sure you have enough fluids, get enough salts in, start your day. If you want to get something in, you can always do a collagen protein. You can always do a bone broth. Fast till 12 o'clock. If you feel emaciated, try and push to 3, but 12 o'clock's a good time.
Yeah.
If you feel emaciated through the day, add some coconut or MCT oil to coffee, right? It's just going to help you deal with it. Have that first meal at 3. Do 2 meals a day. Get enough protein. Make them nice big meat meals. If you can do that for 30 days, every single person that has hopped on this has had an enormous change in a couple of things. The first is obviously the weight loss. The second is increase in testosterone, right? Obviously, because you're increasing your meat intake. That comes with training. That drives up testosterone levels, right? Which is every man wants. The third that comes in is a mental clarity, because the minute you eliminate sugar and what sugar does to you when it does, so when anyone
makes you feel like shit.
It makes you feel like shit, especially when your insulin levels all of a sudden drop.
Yeah. That
feeling that you get makes you feel like shit. When you get that even killed energy that you get from taking meat, when you switch over into ketosis, there's a point of, I'd say, almost euphoria, because you feel great. Then what happens is, as you progress and you get into this and your body switches over, you now push yourself into a place where work is no longer, it doesn't become difficult. I'll attest to, I've known times where, especially on a bodybuilding diet, where you don't have meals because you're eating carbohydrates to fill in. It's very specific. When you don't have meal at set time, and your blood sugar drops, you can't function.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
On a keto or carnivore diet, I find that's no longer a problem. So especially if you're a busy individual, if you're someone who works, right, and you have to be in the office, this fundamentally, I find that fasting for the first half of the day just opens up time for you.
I like it from that regard because it's just less work to prep. However, I personally prefer eating 5 to 7 times a day, smaller meals. I just like that style personally, but I definitely had value and benefit from fasting. I see both sides of the coin personally, but I also can tell you, like, I definitely, when you have the sugars and stuff like that, like, your body's going to crash. Because some people, I think what happens, like, and we're talking, male fitness over 40, right?
Yeah.
I've seen personally, like, how many people they haven't eaten all day. They didn't eat breakfast. They didn't eat lunch, whatever. They're hungry, so they go get chips and soda from a vending machine.
Yes.
As their snack. And, like, one of the worst thing you can put in your body, or they get a Snickers. Like, I've seen those things. And in my eyes, it's like, you could prep, like, we eat tuna. We keep a lot of tuna handy, right? So if you would choose to eat protein at that scenario, like, you're fasting already, so it'd be really easy for you to hop into this program to where you go, replace that chips, Snicker bar, and soda with a couple cans of tuna. Don't like tuna? Okay, get some chicken. Throw some hot sauce on it.
Don't like chicken? Get shrimp.
Get some steak. Get some shrimp. Like, there's a meat, like some kind of meat, right?
Yes.
It's really not that hard, and just eat that, like, portion of meat for your meal, and then you could survive a little bit longer, and that protein's going to carry you much longer. and do that day in and day out consistently, which is the name of all the results in anything you do in life.
Yeah.
Consistent action in that regard is going to prove results. It's really, and that's what frustrates me is like when I see overweight and out of shape people that say like, I'm struggling with, one thing or another when it comes to my meal or my food. That like eating, what unhealthy food is.
Yeah.
I mean, you just do. Like, you don't have to be a nutrition expert to know what unhealthy is.
Yeah, it's kind of ingrained in us, right?
But like, you could easily make the decision to say, well, I'm going to eat some vegetables with some meat, and whether you want to include carbs in there or whatever, like, you could easily choose to not eat the crap. Fried food, French fries. I love French fries. Like, Ronnie Coleman ate a ton of French fries with his meals.
Yeah, but again, in proportion to what he would do. But, I mean, let's take it back to... there's levels of people, right? There's guys who kind of have been on a plan. They know they need to diet. They have a fundamental understanding. But if you're someone who has never ever ever followed a meal plan or never followed an exercise program, it's the most basic thing you can do is start walking.
Yes.
Get up in the morning, start
100%.
walking. Second thing you do is out of the food you're eating, just slowly start making smart choices.
Yes.
Eliminate things that are full of sugar.
Yeah.
Start breaking things down in a way that you can slowly eliminate the things that are bad for you. As you eliminate them, start adding in whole, good foods.
Well, you make a really good point, because I think there's probably going to be people that are going to hear this episode that are like out of shape. They used to be in good shape. They just got life in the way. I was guilty of this at one point. And so when I think about my journey getting back to healthy, back to fitness, what did I do? And it's like you just said, I just started making incrementally good decisions.
Yeah.
When I started working out with you, I was already working out consistently. I was already in a decent amount of shape. So, like, for people to join us today that haven't been doing anything, they're going to struggle. But to get to a place where, all right, I'm out of shape, I'm unhealthy, what do? Go fucking walk.
Yeah.
Like,
just
literally,
start.
I got a vest, like a weighted vest.
Yeah.
Somebody that I met suggested this to me. Throw the weighted vest on. So when you first start walking with that weighted vest, like, I remember this, like, when I first started carrying that weighted vest, I was like, God, this is heavy. But then I got used to it fast.
Your body adapts, right?
My body adjusted really quickly, and I just made it consistent. I didn't walk for like 10 minutes. I walked for, like, to time most of the ways, I would walk for 30 minutes, and then I was up to, like, I think an hour's, like, what I would do. But then I was adding weight training too.
Yeah.
And so it was like, all right, one day I'd walk for an hour, then the next day I would do some weight training. And I trained like the athlete that I used to be, so I was like learning from that. But then, like, when it comes to the kitchen, it's like the same concept. We'll follow some kind of a meal plan. You could get on the Google and literally find some kind of a meal plan.
Yeah.
Like, it's not hard to find what you need to do.
The question is just start, right? So start, keep it simple. Try and keep the avenue simple. Start with your nutrition. Nutrition comes first. Add in light exercise so you can just start walking, and then start increasing from there. And for those who, if you've never been in a gym, right, and you haven't done that work, is, trust me, 99.9% of the people in the gym, they're rooting for you, right?
Totally agree.
The fact that you're there, right, the culture is still very much alive, where everybody is there to support each other.
Yeah.
And if you need help, ask. Trust me, the guys will help you.
I totally agree.
Right, there's some good guys in there, besides the staff that works in the gyms who are there to help you. Ask. Don't be scared to ask someone.
Yeah,
right? Like,
hey,
it's
can
fundamental.
you tell me how to use this piece of equipment?
Yes.
Like, that's it. Like, just stuff like that. Or, what? Hey, I'm trying to do this. Like, back.
Yeah.
Like, people will help you.
People are there to help you. So I think that the avenue of just starting and finding that balance. Now, for us is, our core is to help the entrepreneur, right? To help that person who's running a business, paying his bills. He's building something great for him, his family, for everyone around him. So for those, part of the balance that I've found being an entrepreneur is finding the balance in your nutrition, in your training, and combining it and make it a lifestyle.
For sure.
Right now, that 40 days you were talking about, that 30 to 40 days of being on a very strict plan kind of resets your metabolism, but also resets your mental state.
Yes. And
puts you into a phase where you can kind of attract. And things come and go, right?
Yeah.
Like, life gets in the way. You might get busy. You might get hard. But the point is, if today, right, you've been on a plan for 6 months, and today, for whatever reason, I don't really care what the reason is, and you fuck out and you go eat something you're not supposed to eat, that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? That's sort of thing, and forgive yourself, right?
100%.
That's okay. Assess what you've done. Take 2 steps back and go, okay, next.
Yeah.
Don't now go, because this is a mistake I was always for. There's always the time mistake, right? Where you go, well, it's Friday and I messed up today, so I'll get back on Monday. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Biggest
Get back
mistake
on
you can
track
make.
right now.
Get back on track immediately.
Yeah.
Right? If you skip a day in the gym for whatever reason, right, don't beat yourself up. Just get back on the horse. Get back on the horse.
Well, my wife and I one week, this is a little bit ago, but like, our day kind of went a little haywire. We just like, we've got kids, so like life just took over, right? And we were literally in a pinch for food, and we faltered, and we're like, fuck it, let's get a pizza, right? We do like pizza. Pizza's, good, but it's not
Pizza's
the best.
good. Pizza's delicious.
It's not the best, like calories, but whatever. Anyway, we get a pizza, and she asked me, she goes, you want to get a pizza? And I said, I'll get a pizza, but I'm going to get my protein. So we both grabbed 2 cans of tuna. Well, I grabbed 2 cans, she grabbed 1. And we ate tuna, and then we had pizza.
And they had pizza.
Right? Because
Love
I was like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm still going to get my protein. All right? So, was it the best thing in the world? No, but the pizza ended up working out, and it was just a fun thing. The kids had it, whatever.
The most important thing is you're still people, right? So you have to get those times in. Like, I'm not a big fan of alcohol, but if you like beer, right, once a month, have some beer.
I love beer. If I'm being real, I love dark beer. I do. But what I've recognized with dark beer is it bloats me, and then I just don't feel good after I have a couple.
Well, any food that's generally not good for you, it's the same effect, right? It's the mental effect. You have it the minute you're consuming it, the endorphins are running.
Yeah.
Your brain's telling you everything is great, and then literally 5 to 6 minutes afterwards.
Yeah.
Then you have the drop of endorphins, and the guilt sets in, which is normal, and it's a difficult thing to overcome, but don't get guilty.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up. Get back on the horse.
I agree.
And try and extend the time frames between points. Because everybody's different, right? Some people, I know a lot of people can go cold turkey. Go, tomorrow you're switching your diet. Great. Tomorrow he's on his diet. They're 100% committed. They follow it. They're so committed. It doesn't really matter. It's a switch, right?
Yeah.
It's the same as there's certain people, if they've smoked their whole life, they'll stop smoking tomorrow and they're done.
Yeah.
There's other people have to kind of integrate and slowly kind of integrate so their bodies can get used to it. That's okay as well. Whatever works for you, but the main thing is to do it. Don't quit. Don't get hung up on the small things, right? The most important thing that I always tell everyone is just walk. Just follow up. Just do the things you need to do. Just don't stop.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest inhibitor, and this was my story, what would you tell someone who's in a place that they're like, look, I want to do this. I have the desire to take action. I have the discipline. I believe I have the discipline. But I legitimately don't know where in my schedule I'm going to be able to work out.
Yeah.
I can do the meal plan. I'm good on that. But I want to work out because I know I need to work out. When do I do it? What would you tell somebody that's struggling to find the time to do it?
Time is always a difficult thing. And here's my 2 scenarios in this. Is one, it's the biggest excuse, right? The biggest excuse. Because in the same person, I'd ask that person, right, break your day down for me. And this goes for any entrepreneur. Break your day down for me.
Yeah.
Show me from minute to minute what you actually do, right? Show me, open your phone up and show me the scrolling time you have on Instagram.
A lot of wasted time.
Right. Show me your wasted time. Realistically is you control your time.
Yeah.
I don't care how busy you are, right? Is you should come first. You should look after yourself. If you want to maintain your business, if you want to maintain your relationships, you want to maintain your family, you want to be the best version of yourself for your children, for your wife, for anybody in your life, including your business, you are a priority.
Yes.
Now, anybody who comes to me and tells me, oh, no, my business takes up too much time, well, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because none of us got into business for it to take up 24 hours a day.
No doubt.
That's bullshit.
Right.
Right. You need to sleep. You need to rest. You need to eat.
Right.
Somewhere in that time frame, you have to make time for you. Now, if you tell me that you can't get up I can't get up 4 o'clock in the morning. Great. What are you doing at night? You're telling me. I've heard so many people show this avenue. I've done this with a few people, right? So someone will come to me and go, the first thing is, I don't really eat as bad as you think I do. I eat really well. First thing they'll go is, give me your credit card statement. What do you mean? Give me your credit card statement. Because I'm asking you what you eat, and you tell me you eat once a day. You don't understand why you're fat because you really eat well. And then I'll take a credit card statement and we'll start ticking off. Right. We'll go, well, you stopped at the gas station there and you bought a coffee with 4 sugars. Yeah. You bought a snack here. You bought a snack there. All of a sudden, we're going from someone who's telling me that they're only eating 1,500 calories a day to over 10,000 calories. That's why you weigh 300 pounds.
And 80% of it's shit.
Right. And 80% is shit because we don't want to take accountability.
Yeah.
The same thing goes for time, right? You could be a billionaire who tells me you have everything in the world, but you don't have time.
Yeah.
Bullshit. What you're going to do is you're either going to go to bed earlier, because what I generally find with most people is most people tell me, well, what time do you go to sleep? Oh, about 10, 11 o'clock. Great. What time do you stop working? Now, the odd time, granted, if you're in business, you may be working at 11 at night. Realistically, if you're a well-balanced person, you're most likely ending your day at 6.
Yeah.
Right. Once you end your day, what do? You go home. If you have kids, you make sure they're okay. You do dinner. You do that. Most of us are spending 2 hours to an hour and a half every single night watching TV or scrolling on our phones.
Yeah.
If you just cut down 45 minutes, and you go to bed, instead of going at 11 o'clock, you go to bed at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And it'll take a couple of days because a lot of people say, I can't sleep. Trust me. Go to bed at 9:30, don't sleep, and get up at 4. And I guarantee if you do that 3 days in a row, you'll find time. Find the ability to work. If you can't get to a gym, right, do a gym at home. We have it on our Instagram feed, right? Do the Ric Flair. Everybody who comes to me goes, I can't get to a gym, or I just had a friend of mine in Canada said, well, I've just had a baby. I'm up and down. I haven't really had, not necessarily the time, but I don't really want to leave the house and my wife alone. She's with her. So I said to him, great. So every single day when you get up, do 100 squats, 100 push-ups, and 100 sit-ups.
No equipment needed. And just do it every single day. Spit it. I don't care if you do... Which is our warm-up, by the way.
There we go, right? I don't care if you do 100 sets of 1.
Yeah.
10 sets of 10.
Yeah.
4 sets of 25. 2 sets of 50. I don't care, but do them.
Yeah.
Run them in... And I guarantee you, if you do that every single day when you wake up, by the time you get back to the gym, you will walk in the gym and you'll be fine.
Yeah, for sure. No equipment needed at all.
Everybody has the ability. So my honest opinion when I hear people talk about time is it's an excuse.
Yeah.
It's a very... These are excuses I've heard. I've heard so many. My favorite ones, I'm going to rack them up now. The first one I heard is the amount of men who have told me they cannot diet because their wife won't cook for them. Right? She won't make the food that I need to eat, so I'm not going to do it. You are responsible for your food, not your wife.
That's
you are responsible for your calories. You are responsible for how you get it in, and you should take responsibility for it.
Yeah.
The second one I've heard is I don't have time to work out. Great. But you have time to go drink. You have time to socialize. You have time to scroll on social media. The first thing I'll tell you is give me your phone. I'll open up the settings on your Instagram, and I'll see what your screen time is per day. On average, it's 2 hours.
Yeah, sure.
Lower your screen time. Get in a gym, or just do something.
But to your point too, even like, so I remember back, I would ask somebody, how many happy hours are you going to?
Yeah.
Right? Because there's your time there. Like, what are you doing right after work? I think back on my time, and I will say, like, I think COVID changed for a lot of people where everybody's working online, working from home. So what I experienced was legitimately like hour after hour after hour of like Zoom calls and Teams calls, whatever it was. And so what was happening is I'd look at my time and I was like, holy shit, like for a 10-hour day, like 8 of it was literally on a conference call.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I got to eat lunch. So I would go eat lunch somewhere real quick. Sometimes I'd sit at my desk and eat it. But you would have, like, even that time I probably could have, like, found it. I would have had to sacrifice somewhere.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, what people aren't willing to do. And I wasn't willing to do it. I didn't sacrifice my own personal time, whether that was the hour on the TV when I got home because I was so exhausted from everything else and I had 3 small kids. There's, like, it's all excuses, though, is what I'm ultimately trying to say. It's all excuses.
It is. Life is a choice, right? Everything we do, regardless of whether the choice is easy, hard, or both choices are hard. You've got a level
choose
of
your
choice.
Hard.
Right. Exactly. Choose your hard.
Choose your hard.
And there's a saying, and I love this saying, it's choose the hard choices now for the easy path later, or choose the easy path now for the hard choices later. Either way, you're going to make a hard choice.
Yeah.
The difference being is if you make those hard choices today, and this doesn't go for exercise, this goes for everything.
Yeah.
This goes for how you conduct yourself in business with people. This goes for if I have a phone call coming through of a potential client, do I take the call now or do I go, I'll call him back later? No, I take the call now because there's a direct result in causality of what's going to actually be the outcome.
For sure.
So when it comes to this is a fundamental. You can make choices in everything you do in life. Those choices are fundamental. whether you think they are or not.
Yeah.
And they are going to be made whether you consciously make them or not. They will be made for you.
Right.
So what you've got to do is you've got to sit down and go, what do I want from life? Now, a lot of people from a egotistical standpoint go, oh, well, you work out so you look good. No, that's a symptom of why I do it. Symptom of why you do it. I like looking good, but it's not why I do it. The way you eat, you eat that way so you can have a six-pack. Nope. I eat that way because when I eat that way, I don't feel like shit.
That's right.
My fundamental philosophy in how and why you do this is, why do I choose not to drink alcohol? Why do I choose not to eat excessive sugars? Why do I control what I intake? Because it immediately, and not within time, immediately determines how I feel on that day.
Yeah.
As we've always said is, the future does not exist and the past does not exist. They are inconsequential. All I have is now. I know right now, if I have that can of tuna, it's not the greatest meal. And there's great meals. And make no mistake, when I say a can of tuna, we're talking about time constraints, got to get protein in, something easy and quick.
Yeah.
There's great meals that I cook every single day that are fundamentally the best meals I've ever had that are within my diet.
Yeah.
However, if I have that can of tuna, what don't I have? I don't get indigestion. I don't have a sugar drop right after it.
Yep.
It's quick, it's easy, it's fundamental. How do I feel? I feel better.
Oh, yeah.
What this basically narrows down to when it comes to training, it's everything that we do in training, in diet, in nutrition as we age is not because we're trying to outlive the person next to us. It's not because we're trying to be better than anyone else. It's not because I want to look good. That's a symptom. That's what you will inevitably get when you work out, because working out doesn't have immediate results. If you have never worked out before and you don't understand the process it goes through, you will go to gym day one. That night, you'll look exactly the same. The next day, you'll look the same. Next week, you'll look the same. The week after, you'll look the same. You'll feel better. You'll feel fundamentally great. There's points where you're going to go and you're going to get a good pump. You're going to feel like $1 million, but you will not see a physical change for quite a long time. Once you get past that and you realize, but I feel good, this is what it's about. Everything else is a symptom. And this is where I like to use alcohol. What is the symptom of alcohol? I go out tonight. I drink alcohol with friends. I get a little bit intoxicated. Things seem fun. Everybody loses a bit of inhibitions. We all laugh. We go thing. And then what happens? That alcohol hits your liver. It turns into a toxic poison. The poison is the side effect which you have that's why they call it intoxication, because you are toxically poisoning your body. That side effect on your liver of what you've just done to your body, regardless of what you're drinking, is going to be with you for the next week. That's over and above how you feel the next morning. Now, from my perspective is, what is the side effect and the symptom? The symptom is, I've had this great immediate effect from alcohol. The next side effect is, now I've got to deal with the symptoms of that decision for the next 4 to 5 days. And then there's an additional symptoms that I won't even feel that are long lasting. The difference is, if I make a smart choice, so that night I decide I'm not going to drink, I eat clean, the symptoms are different. So my symptom is, tomorrow morning, I don't have a hangover. I can work out. I can now carry on doing the things that I fundamentally do. I feel better. These are the most important things is, you're trying to have longevity in how you feel, not only immediately, but long term. The stronger you are, the longer you live. Not to say that that it's going to put a timestamp on it, but as you age, stronger people age better. And this is what we want. We want longevity in what we do.
Well, I was thinking about, like, I got out of shape, and to just get down on a knee to give my kids a bath, like, my body was hurting. And then the food that I ate made, like, I think about, like, Mexican food is like something my wife and I've always enjoyed, and you go eat, chips and salsa and queso and tacos, all the crap that's really good. But you eat that, and then you're chugging a lot of water, and you feel bloated and like total shit from that. Versus, like, I've now, with the way I eat when I have my refeed, like, I could eat the big burger and fries and a bowl of ice cream, and I don't feel bad. I don't feel like shit from that, because I know that when it hits my body, it's gonna get burned fast. And it's actually, like, half the time the next morning I wake up and I'm like,
you feel great.
Man, I look and feel great, right? And I think the reality for me is if I make the right choices on a daily basis, I enjoy the process now.
Yeah.
I enjoy the process so much more because, like, let's use this example. This is what I was thinking about when you were talking. If I choose alcohol, and over time, I'm going to get a negative result out of alcohol.
Yes.
I'm going to have bad liver, pick an issue with hard drinking, whatever the story. So it's not going to be an overnight change with alcohol, and that's a negative thing I'm choosing to put into my body, right? But eventually it's going to take me down.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I make good choices and choose to work out and healthy lifestyle, to not drink alcohol, to not like consume things that are bad for me? I'm still going to have a longer term at play here. Like it's a long-term thing. Well, don't you want a good outcome? And just simply not, like, I'm not sitting here telling people don't go drink, you can't have alcohol, it's the worst thing. It is the worst thing, I do believe that, but like to me, in the end, if you choose to drink or you choose to consume alcohol, like obviously, like excessive alcohol is just it's terrible.
It's as bad as excessive everything else, right?
Yeah. So like I don't know, and I think this kind of sets, like in my mind, like this really hits a point of like our motivation versus discipline of what we're doing.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like if you're waiting for, like you talked about, like I'm going to start on Monday, that to me is people saying I'm going to wait till the motivation happens.
Yes.
Right.
I'm waiting for the right time.
Yeah. And I said this in our previous episode, if you're waiting on the motivation to kick in, it's never going to kick in. Never. Like you have to choose discipline, and then eventually the motivation, like 6 months, a year down the road, when the results start to happen and seeing progress like occur, that's when that motivation will start to take over a little bit. But even then, there's days like, you know, you get up to work out, you're like, I just don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
But you still do it.
Well, that's the discipline part, right? Because, and this again is part where whether you are heading into a new exercise program, or you're starting a new business, or you're starting to date someone new, right? If you're single and you're dating someone, right? Or you're in a relationship with your spouse and you're kind of breaking everything down, right? You think of your next vacation. What you're doing is you're setting a timestamp for a goal.
Yeah.
Right. Now, in one sense, goals are good, but in another sense, goals are a trap.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when you set a goal, it's a time difference. You're going, well, there it is. Now, what most people do, and this goes for business and the nutrition and exercise program, is I set a goal for down here, but what I'm forgetting is all the fundamental little pieces in between that I'm going to have to go through. The journey, right? The journey is the most important thing. The goal is just the symptom, the outcome of symptom.
Yeah.
It's just where you're going, right? It's a good, nice baseline to set for you, but realistically, it doesn't mean anything because it cannot be attained without following the journey.
Yeah.
And if you don't enjoy the journey, the goal will always be... I've had people who have competed who didn't enjoy the journey, and the competition was great, but they didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because if you can find joy in the journey,
100%.
and it becomes lifestyle, and this is even in business, and you can navigate day to day, right?
Well, I think like the whole gastric bypass surgery, like where like, and I have my extended family, people that I've known, place that where I grew up, you know, there's a lot of like folks that were overweight. I even knew some obese people that had, I know of a few people that had the gastric bypass surgery.
Me too.
Okay. The problem with that is you're saying I'm going to go lose 100 pounds, but I'm going to use a surgery to help me achieve this goal.
Yeah.
But you never fixed any of the root causes.
That's a fair assertion, but let's break that down because that's an interesting take. Because in one sense, gastric bypass for certain people who struggle with discipline, especially when it comes down to their health, fundamental health, hey, I'm all for it, right? However, as you say is, you do the surgery, but I don't change anything else, right? It's the same as someone who has type 2 diabetes, right? Type 1, there's nothing to do, it's genetic. Type 2 is directly related to diet.
Well, if I could interject, like I would say I would support that surgery if for a year you changed your eating habits going into the surgery.
Well, funny enough is most people who go for the surgery have to lose weight to attempt the surgery. So depending on your weight level, you might actually have to lose 100 pounds before you can even go for the surgery. So again, you know, everybody has to make that choice for themselves. But what are you doing? It's you're doing what the pharmaceutical industry does. You're treating a symptom and not the cause.
Right.
So whether it's gastric bypass surgery, whether you have type 2 diabetes, essentially you have a root cause that you can fix. What it requires you to do is it requires you to give more of yourself and apply discipline. The problem is the amount of people that have negative side effects, because the minute that you take some sort of extensive surgery or extensive drug to manipulate your body into doing something that you don't have the discipline to do, what happens is it usually comes with an entire bag of side effects.
Yeah, for sure.
And the side effects is the part that people don't really focus on because they focus on weight loss. Ozempic is a good example, right? So Ozempic is a type 2 diabetes or a diabetes medication. What its side effect is, the side effect is dramatic weight loss, right? And every star that you see in Hollywood now that is all of a sudden you've seen them go to shape because they're on Ozempic, right? Now, Ozempic sounds great on the baseline, right? I take this drug takes away appetite, allows me to lose weight. But then you start reading the side effects of what it actually does. Ozempic from the majority eats up lean muscle tissue, tendon and ligament tissue, right? So what'll happen is you get the Ozempic face where you see the lines in the face popping out because it's actually eating away the fundamental tissues in your body.
Right.
So there's a very big balancing act that people have to do, and women fall into this trap pretty easily because when we lose weight, right, and people on the gastric bypass, they focus on the weight, they focus on poundage, right, because in their mind is a result, but the result is kind of like, okay, well, I can lose 100 pounds, but did I lose 100 pounds of fat? How much muscle did I lose? Did I gain muscle at the same time?
Right.
Weight loss and health are not related,
yeah.
right? Because you get people who are extremely healthy, and it's the body mass index system, right? So based on the body mass index, you and me are morbidly obese, right?
Yeah.
My body fat's under 10%.
I heard it every time in the army.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, am I morbidly obese? No, because that system is based on a very inaccurate metric.
Yep.
So now what happens is a lot of people focus on the scales. They look at the scale and go, oh, I lost 10 pounds. Okay, but what did you lose? Did I lose fat? Did I lose muscle? Gastric bypass surgery. Basically, if you don't control your diet, you're going to lose a ton of muscle. You will lose fat as well, but you also you're becoming weaker.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very important for people to kind of assess the deals because society and, the way the media portrays it is we'll say, great to the person who lost weight. Well, they've done so well. Doesn't matter what the reasoning is. Right. But the same person picks up 20 pounds of muscle using steroids, he's evil. Right, just think about the contradictory. I'll have someone who goes and has gastric bypass surgery, loses 100 pounds. Right, all of a sudden they're 100 pounds lighter. They look, according to everybody, they look fantastic because obviously they're taking great pictures. Then you'll have a guy, let's say The Rock or some actually don't know, and he decides to take a course of anabolic steroids. He picks up 20, 30 pounds, and they find out that he took anabolic steroids. He's evil.
Yeah.
How dare he? He's cheating. What's he cheating on?
Yeah.
The causality of both is the same. It's the same as society puts certain drugs above other drugs. Smoking and cigarettes is accepted in society, right? Alcohol is accepted, though there's no positive effect from it. Just the mortality rate on alcohol consumption is so goddamn high. But it's an accepted part of our society. But you can't smoke weed.
Yeah.
You can't take mushrooms. You can't take any other drug.
A plant
that's naturally occurring, but you can take this. Why is this important?
Yeah.
Choice.
Yeah.
Because you as an individual, you have to look at your choices because those choices, as you mentioned, the gastric bypass surgery, you're taking a shortcut, which you could have made a choice to make a better decision for an outcome for yourself.
Well, and I want to share with listeners, like, what I believe is the recipe for success on anything you do is you have to come up with a daily set of non-negotiable tasks to accomplish each and every day consistently, whether that's through mind, body, spirit. We'll talk about at some point about like the 4 pillars that we both like. But every day, what's my main priorities or objectives that I need to do? We're all like entrepreneurs in business. Like there might be like, let's use sales because it's an easy example. I need to make 10 sales calls a day or whatever the number is. Well, in my health and wellness, I need to follow my meal plan. I need to hit the weights. I need to do what my workout is, whatever that looks like. There's non-negotiables that you have to do each and every day, and those are core habits. And if you don't create core habits, when it comes time to order at the restaurant, at your business meeting, you're going to make a shitty choice. Because your default habit is, give me the burger and fries or whatever that shit meal is that you order. because we all know you get talking in your business meeting and you forget to look at the menu. It comes your time to order, and you order your default shit food.
Yeah.
So create a habit that says, give me my default chicken and green beans, or steak and green beans, or whatever that is.
Now that's a good point, right? So you're creating the habits, you write down the fundamentals. But now what is the difference between applying discipline or applying motivation, right? So motivation is a short-lived burst of energy that you receive watching a video, listening to someone else talk, it's something that's externally motivating you and going, oh, I want to do that, right? It's like watching an ad for your sports team, or an ad for the Super Bowl coming up.
Yeah,
it gets you revved up. It's watching a Ronnie Coleman video. I'm going to go work out right now. It's motivation, but it's short-lived. You still have to get to the gym. You still have to go do the workout. You have to cook the food. You have to apply the process. And that difference in discipline that I found, and I think it's a fundamental universal law, right? Discipline is doing the things you don't necessarily want to do. You don't have to do. There's no reward for you doing them, but you do them anyway because you realize that you have a personal internal goal you want to achieve, and you make those choices, and those choices will determine the outcome. Yeah. And those choices, I can't sugarcoat this. Like, I'd love to be the guy that sits here and goes, you know what, everyone at home, if you just really believe, and you have your heart in it, that's fucking bullshit. Yeah. If you want to achieve these things, every time that you sit and you want to bitch out and do something you're not supposed to do, have a fucking internal discussion with yourself. Yeah. Look inside and go, fuck, what choice am I making? Yeah. And fucking make the right one. Yeah. Sometimes you're going to fuck it up. Get back on the horse, and the next time, do it better. And keep doing it, and keep doing that. Fundamentally, every fucking time that you think you're going to mess up, or you have messed up, don't beat yourself up. Yeah. Look internally. Don't look at anyone else. Don't ask someone else. Don't tell someone you're going to go on a diet. Don't tell someone you're going to do something. I agree with that. Right. Be the shadow. Go back. Deal with yourself. Yeah. Make those choices and hold yourself accountable. Don't tell your wife she must tell you not to eat it. Don't tell your buddies, hey, listen, if you see me doing this, like, show me. The only people that can hold you accountable is you. Yeah. No one else is accountable for your actions. Every time you do it, man the fuck up. Yeah. Suck it up. If you messed up, suck it up. Yeah. I did it. Great. What's next? What it is. What's the next thing? Find, assess, reassess. Yeah. Find, assess, reassess, and then keep making those choices. And as you do it, I've been the person who's fucking put my hand in the cookie jar and had a cookie when I shouldn't. Sure. I've done this many times. Sure. Take accountability. Be better the next time. Yeah. Sometimes you go up. Sometimes you go down.
I mean, it's not like the food police aren't going to show up and arrest you because you took a cookie. However, like you got to recognize, like, yeah, it's not good for you, but like it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Don't lie to yourself.
I'm not going to sit here and like be upset with the fact that I had a cookie. Well, guess what? I can be upset with the fact if I do it over and over again. And the only person that's responsible for that is me. Yes. Nobody made me take it. Like, it's the holidays, right? So a lot of people have families together, and there's like a lot of foods that come in. Yeah. Well, if you plan, like one of the things that we've done this many times, is if we know we're going to go to a party or somewhere that's probably going to have a bunch of food that's not necessarily going to fall within our wheelhouse of diet plan, we eat before we go. Yeah. And we eat big so that we don't get starved. We're not sitting there starved. And then if they have stuff there that we might be able to eat or snack on, we will.
And how did you come to this conclusion? So it didn't happen overnight. No. You obviously went through a process going, well, you get to the party, I haven't eaten enough, so now I'm going to eat a whole bunch of things that I don't because I'm hungry. Right? And for anyone listening, if you're truly hungry, you should probably eat. Yes. Right? I'm the first guy to say, try and make good choices, but you should eat.
The mental aspect of being hungry when you're not eating well, like if you're not fasting, like it gets bad, it goes downhill fast. Like especially a lot of women are like that too. Like women really struggle. Men struggle too, but women I found have, at least in my wife, like if she's hangry, as we call it, it's bad, right? Yeah. Mental struggles are big, right?
And how long did it take you to go, right, this is my process. We're going out, we've got a kids party, we've got something to go to. How long did it take you to figure out what you need to do for you, and when did it start working?
Not long. I mean,
that's the question, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you just know, I guess, is that I've got to plan ahead in anything. Like, I think in nutrition in general. Yeah. Like if you wake up every day, like I can do it now because I've been doing it long enough that I instinctively know what my choices are. But if you're just getting on track and you're just now trying to rebuild yourself, like if you don't plan ahead for your meals, like you're gonna fail.
Yes.
You got to plan to succeed, not plan to fail. So by not planning, you're failing.
Yeah.
So if you know that, like, all right, I'm going to have whatever going on this week, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a kid's party, whatever it looks like, if you plan ahead, like, at a party, they're going to have shit food. Don't go in there without eating. It's like going to the grocery store hungry. You go to the grocery store hungry, you're going to buy all the crap because you're eating with the wrong eyes.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, like, you have to be ahead of that. You have to plan to be successful and prep and eat some protein before you go, whatever that looks like for you in your meal plan. And and this goes back to what we're talking about, motivation versus discipline.
Choice. It's
choice. It's being disciplined. When I go somewhere it's like anything that we do, whether it's alcohol, whether it's bad food, you're planned ahead so that you're not going to make the bad choice.
Yeah.
So
and I think in this episode, we're focusing primarily on nutrition. And the reason we're doing this is, in every experience, training is the easy part.
It is.
Getting your ass inside the gym and doing training, a lot of people go, it's difficult to go to the gym every day. No, it's not. And especially on a Monday when it's chest, it's really fucking not. In the end of the day, it's easy to go to the gym. The gym's fun. It's a great experience, right? If you're doing it with other people, it's even better.
Yeah. Especially you start hitting some PRs, you're getting stronger.
Yeah,
that itself is motivating. That's easy.
Best fucking feeling in the world. However, the nutrition part behind it, and then attacking life head on every day.
Yeah.
Waking up and having a plan. Wake up in the morning, ground, have some meditation, try and assess your day before you start your day. Kind of run through your mind before you really get out of bed. Okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to get up. I'm going to make sure I got my meals prepped. This is what I've got to do today. This is how I'm... Like, plan your day out.
Yeah.
A lot of times, all the time, when someone says to me that I don't have time, it's because their plan sucks.
That's right.
They're not planning their day out.
You'd be amazed at what you can accomplish getting up like an hour earlier or being the first one up in your household. For entrepreneurs, like, put the home gym in. I have a home gym. Like, I don't really use it as much anymore, but like that's where I got started back. Is if you like, and when you have small kids, like if like in our case where we had 3 kids close in age, it is hard to sometimes get broken away because there's help, and we would actually work out. They're in the garage with us at times when we were working out. Either way, put the home gym in. Like, get some dumbbells. You can get dumbbells up to whatever weight you need. Put a little squat rack in there, half rack or something. Get a piece of cardio, like a you don't even need a cardio equipment. Just like get something in there, and then get up at 4 in the morning. Get up at 5 in the morning before everyone else is awake. Get in there for 45 minutes. You can crush a great workout in 45 minutes. Oh, yeah. You can do a lot in 45 minutes.
I'd go as far as saying, and goes back to Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates said, if you're training alone more than 40 minutes, you're not training.
That's a good point.
Right, because like you said, you can crush it.
You and I, hour and a half, but like there's 2 of us going. One person, like, you don't need to rest that much. Like, you can get after it.
Move it, get in, get out. And I think fundamentally, at the end of this episode, I'm going to put a link in, so I'm going to put the episode up, and we'll have some free options for anybody who wants to get on their plan. Right? It's going to be a base nutrition. It's going to explain to you what macros is, right? What carbohydrates, fats, and proteins you need, how much protein you need to build muscle, how much protein you need to maintain, what you want to ratio. We want to put in for people. I'll put a basic training program in there. Starter, advanced, intermediate, whichever one you are.
Yeah.
And whoever you are, if you're listening, if you're busy doing something and you're finding it a little bit difficult, maybe find some help in it. At some point, we're going to have a community, and we're going to have people ask questions so we can backtrack with everybody and kind of give advice and help each other move forward.
Yep.
But the main thing here is whatever you're doing is the smart choices on diet. They're not magic anymore. We're not talking 1950s, 1960s, where you kind of everybody had a base idea of nutrition, but everyone's was wrong.
Right.
You go to school and they tell you this is the food pyramid. You need this much of that, this much of this. We don't live in that time anymore.
Right.
You want to know what good nutrition is? Go onto Google, go onto Grok, go onto any type of system and type in there and go, give me a diet and you put in your parameters. It'll spit out a diet for you. Yep. Tell them what food you like. Like, it is not difficult to get plans.
Nope.
The hard part for you, me, anybody is execution.
Yep.
Discipline, application, and consistently going back in. And I think you mentioned it a few times, and I think it's a very difficult thing, if you haven't done it before, is learn to love the process.
Definitely.
Like, man,
that's huge.
When you can switch your mindset and you can love what you do and you get into it every day and it becomes part of your fundamentals, man, it's then whatever you're doing doesn't matter.
I believe that's the difference maker in the longevity of it.
Yeah.
If you don't love the process, you won't last.
You'll struggle.
If
You'll
you
struggle.
are only focused on getting a result, like, you're gonna fail.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. To me, that is the mindset shift that has to happen for anybody to do this long term, to do it over a course of time. Is you truly have to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
You just have to.
And I think what we'll do is in later episodes we'll dive into like, listen, no one can help you or do it for you and tell you how to love the process.
Yep.
You have to get into a mind switch whereby you go, you know what, this is what I want to do. The results are, look at the results as a symptom, and then use that causality of every day doing it. Next, what's next, and eventually, I mean, I've been doing this for years now. You've been training and being an athlete your whole life, and you've had this mind switch recently, especially as you say, your struggle being food, which honestly is most people's struggle. Well, I still struggle with food even now. Right. It's at no point are we sitting here going, listen, we're the perfect example. We just do this. Man, there's days I'll black out and I'll eat 15,000 calories of shit. Right. Because everyone has shitty days. Yeah. It happens. And then I look at it and I go, okay, I better go do some extra cardio tomorrow morning, hit the fucking gym hard. In the next 2 weeks, I'm going to fucking nail it.
Yep.
And it's kind of get back into it. Right. So, everybody has the downfalls. But I think the important thing here is, one, just fucking start.
Yeah.
Just start. You guys know what you're doing. Just kind of get into it. And then build your communities. Speak to guys around you. Talk to guys in the gym. Man, there's so much knowledge in the gym.
Well, my opinion is you're listening because you want to level up.
Yeah.
You're trying to do better. You're trying to get, whatever that is that needs to get fixed. Maybe it doesn't need fixed. You just want to get better at what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, that was my case when I met you. Like, I was already on track.
You were on your way.
Yeah. Like, I survived my first workout with you. But
yeah.
But my point is, like, I wanted to level up. I wanted to take another step forward, and I got around somebody that was better than me. At least that's how I saw it.
Yeah.
And now I'd like to believe we both push each other to be even better.
Fuck yeah.
Right? And that's what it's all about, is like getting a community of people around you. That's what we're trying to build here, is a community of people that want to be better, that want to level up and need some help. Right? And it's okay to say you need help.
Absolutely. So. And that's kind of, Layman's Lab is an epitome of a brainchild of Kevin's and mine, where we want to build communities, especially for men, to be better and be the best version of themselves.
That's right.
That's where we want to go. And in the end of the day, is nutrition, diet, and exercise is a massive part.
Yeah, and I don't want it to make, like, I think one of the things I've been guilty of in my life is, like, I'm guilty of looking like I got it all figured out. I don't.
Living in the silo.
Yeah, that's why I love the Layman's Lab, because this is just a couple guys that are just down-to-earth dudes like anybody else, just trying to figure their shit out, trying to figure out life. And we're sharing what we're going through, and we'll share some of the difficulties and struggles in some episodes and many other things. But, like, to me, what I have really learned is when men surround themselves with other good men, a lot of good comes from that.
This is true.
Right?
This is true.
And really just building each other up and trying to help each other and sharing what's worked, what hasn't worked. I think that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
So it's a good episode.
And if you're one of those guys out there and you're struggling and this gives you some motivation, all best advice that I can give you, and I'm sure Kevin will give you, is just don't fucking stop.
That's right.
Just keep pushing.
That's right.
It'll get better. It gets, there's some dark times.
Quit.
Just fucking don't quit.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
100%.
I think right there is where we'll call this episode. So.
I like it. Good one.
Awesome.